Hey guys, I'm not having a great day, and I'm not really sure which YouTube channel I'm gonna post this on. But point of it is I've avoided a lot of stuff for a very long time, and so for me right now, I'm having some intense difficulties. Because for me, I want to talk about my life a little bit, but then I don't want to because so many people go driving people crazy. Sometimes that's why I feel like an intense nuisance. And on the core of my being, I know that this is not truly my fault. However, I'm having some issues. And I think really where the core of my issues are coming in is kind of like just abusive people. It's abusive people. I know so many people in the communities, like social media communities, that just plagiarize me. Working with the gorillas was intensely beautiful for me all my life. And working in Japan was intensely beautiful my entire life. But I think really what it comes down to is I'm kind of flabbergasted by the way things are. It feels like there's so many characters that are formed and insanity that is created. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like problems after problems that perplex each other. And then you get laughed at and made fun of for saying they're perplexing. I know so many prostitutes and women out in the community that quite frankly, I'd love to just say their name, but when it comes to the YouTube terms and guidelines, it feels like you can't talk about them. The first YouTuber I want to look at that's very abusive and well known in the community for being abusive is Mr. Beast. If it's not him, it's the way PewDiePie is in Closed Doors. But I don't really know that in terms of Felix, because I don't really know him very well. In my own personal life, I know him from my husband's personal life. And that's really scary because the way that I've known, the way that these people treat my husband is very abusive. And, one YouTuber in particular, or I should say two YouTubers in particular I want to talk about are Emma Lane Vin and Tina Kitten, or even I Kitty with 4 Y's at the end. I Kitty makes fun of my amnesia, like upfront and personal, and pretends to be me in a facadical identity. And so does Emma Lane Vin and Tina Kitten. Tina Kitten is a woman who when she's coming around all of this stuff, I think one of the biggest struggles that I have right now is that they're incredibly abusive to my family as well. So while they're pretending to be me, plagiarizing my music and my artwork and my fashion and going into my husband's study, his office, and stealing a lot of my work, or even his work, and then abusing him, using him, and abusing me and using me, it feels like a very cruel introduction to what is me avoiding being famous. So I'll say it like this, just because it feels more comfortable for me, I suppose, right now. Because honestly speaking, I'm a veteran. But I think I'm going to post this on iCorpsey. So the reason I'm going to put this on iCorpsey is for the sanity of the Corpse Husband project. This entire project drove me insane. And the way I see my husband was a very sane man who's brave enough to say it how it is. And the reason I say how it is because he's a veteran himself. The things that he's done is to stop bad people. And one of the things that we had to learn was, for instance, children can be horrible murderers. And the reason I want to bring this up is an individual who tried to rape me last night. And I actually keep forgetting it even happened last night because of my amnesia and the trauma in my life, which is the big reason why I avoid trying to be famous. It's a stressful occupation, for one. And for two, it feels like everyone around you is judging you. And one of the opportunities I saw from being famous was ripping apart my accounts. Because I like to go in there and throw it out there and try and make an art piece, but it always felt like, one, it contained espionage, two, it contained a bunch of problems And three, the people that surround you when you go into these places, they're really cruel to famous people, even infamous, which I am infamous. I mean, I am the ghost wife of Murdoch Frost Nichols. I'm Noodle. I'm Matrix. I'm Björk. Hi. Ikari. Anato dare. Anyhow. I'm the corpse wife. You know, and that one is one of the most painful for me, because I can see all of my husband's abuse with these people who are just flat out using him in the cruelest manners, and the way he's going about his investigations is in the most nihilistic approach to just letting them abuse him so that he can out them as criminals and abusers, all while my son is sitting there and trying to uphold his sanity while he's being made fun of in the public by a woman named Valkyrie. Valkyrie literally outs him on his gay relationship with two of my family members, and quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with their relationship. You know, I don't see a damn thing wrong. I think they're quite a beautiful couple, and they helped us stay together so many times. However, my son Saikuno then gets thrown into this weird raft, so to speak, of abuse in social media, where he spent years trying to build his career up. And as it stands right now in the YouTube community, these are pretty popular channels. The most popular, I would say, is Saikuno and Corpse Husband, because of the fact that, quite frankly, those two skyrocket and they don't just stick exclusively to YouTube. Whereas PewDiePie, you know, he was the most well-known YouTuber out there for a time. And the reason I bring this man up is, you know, he's in these communities. These are large names to be thrown out there in the world of things, which is the difference between being infamous and famous. Infamy means everyone knows you. And sure, there's times you may know famous people, which is what this instance is. I know famous people because my family are famous. I'm famous technically as Noodle, and as well as other things, but my name, my true name, Björk Ikari, is one of infamy. The story goes that Björk Goyman's daughter has been abusing me and tried to steal my identity via Nazi grooming and KKK abundance of criminal activity, where she then claims espionage, but it's a darn fucking lie. I know the difference between sitting here and delving for information and being completely criminalist, and knowing what the fuck it means to see a criminal who just whips out their fucking bullshit into people. I mean, the things I've seen some people do is pretty fucked up and heinous. Which brings me back to the topic. Just last night, I was, like I said, almost raped. And the same individual was sleeping in that bed right there, which is next to that bed in this hotel room. And that man was raping me in my sleep. And I was trying to piece it together and stuff. And I got a big hit on my face. I've got cuts on my body. Hell, if I look over at my side, you can see a cut from a knife, because it became a violent endeavor. I sent him to jail. And admittedly so, I feel like I then begin to blame myself. I'm like, it's my fault this happened. I could have done better. But really, I was horrified of this person. He'd been raping me in my sleep for multiple nights. It got so scary, I grabbed my kitchen knives and ended up backing up into that corner right over there, where the window is, which is not a smart place to back up to when you're scared like that. You should be going to the fucking door. Point is there was a struggle from here to here where he was trying to get my knives, and I just said fuck it and went out the fucking door and then out the back, and I was like, I'm gone. Called the police and just started fucking crying. And then he was, prior to doing this little knife fight with me, was fighting various individuals in here who he was prostituting himself to and having sex with. And then I take it back to the YouTube community. This man in particular tries to pride himself on a plethora of things. One, a Nickelodeon career, which, quite frankly, I just don't even want to think about. Two, a entire life that was made up of what he considers a Gemini's mask, which I find offensive to Geminis everywhere. He tries to hold on to individuals of the same zodiac sign to then prosperously explain in spirituality his innocence, because he negates metaphysics and as well his behavior in life so that he can blame my husband, which is really hard for me because when you're talking about this stuff and you're whistleblowing, the scariest part is if a person will believe you. And if they don't believe you, they'll either victimize you or criminalize you. If they victimize you, then you're put in a very uncomfortable seat where you're told to sit. Forced to sit sometimes even. And then when you look around, you can see them blaming the most innocent person. And then when you see yourself villainized, you see yourself being raped in your sleep, being hurt and almost raped and in a knife fight with someone, and struggling with being cyberbullied by people that are famous in the YouTube community. I mean, what do you do in those obstacles? I've got marks along my body. I mean, the police are looking at me and they're like, you got a bruise here, I think. And I'm like, I think that's just from my necklace. And they're like, nah, it's a bruise. And I'm over here like, I don't even know, I just want to go back to my room. Ah! And, you know, then I go back to my room and the first thing I see on my phone is my family playing video games. They're being cyberbullied and they're trying to stream and post YouTube videos and keep me in a sanity that tells me that they love me. Because they know that for me, I feel very terrified of all this stuff and feel to blame for everything. And they know it's not my fault. However, the biggest problem that I have when in these obstacles is that these abusers, while abusing them, then blame me. And I'm like, the fuck? You know, like, it doesn't make much mental sense. And we know criminal parts about them where some of these YouTubers, again, naming names and flagging people like this in the public puts you into a judicial court. There are YouTube lawyers that come out, see these videos, and then go, alright, look, so here's the fucking ordeal. We're gonna have to take this to court. And so that's my horrific side of this. I'm like, I'm fucking horrified. And these people that we're talking about, I mean, they have fake identities. Every single one of them. And they've done heinous criminal things. And we've been upfront and honest about all of it. And the scariest part is for me, the separation of my family. The way they're trying to paint it is to where they're trying to put all of this abuse on my family and say we caused it. And, you know, the most scariest part beyond that is we didn't do goddamn shit other than try and stay safe and survive and protect our family and tribe. And in the communities, we're activists. We're in the Ukraine and the guerrillas right now. In the guerrillas, we just cured COVID. Hi. And you know, prior to that, we're fucking over here trying desperately to just sit here and talk about this shit. And you know, the scary part about it too is that you feel like you can't even be yourself. That was what I learned in the difference of infamy and being famous. Being famous, it feels like you have to put a mask on, which scares me because, I mean, how am I supposed to come onto YouTube or Twitter or anything and voice my opinion, which I don't care how offensive it is. I just have to, you know, kind of like stress that part. If someone is abusing someone I love this much, why can't I call them a fucking whore when they're being a prostitute? Or raping someone, calling them a female rapist, which is indeed a thing. A female rapist is a fucking thing. It does not deserve to be a subject matter where you need to, like, cast that shit away. I mean, who the fuck does this? And being infamous, everyone knows you, but you don't really deal with everyone in your social media chains. That's really just the difference. Sorry, my voice and my throat is all raspy from screaming last night. When I was screaming, my voice just got cut out. So, now that I'm here in this situation, I have to stress the part of fart, where, as an infamous being, I now have to become famous. And I'm not gonna lie about any of this stuff because I feel like all it does is cause problems. And there's so many good people out here in the world that are famous or infamous that don't deserve this kind of behavior being brought to them. But these people that jump in here and use people for fame and fortune, it makes no sense to me. Because when I look at the ideology of all of this stuff, the reward that they reap from this stuff is very minuscule and petty. And so for many of us sane people, we look at a real rational ideology when it comes to the abundance of what is life, and what it means to praise existence in a manner to which you coexist. So, truly, everyone, hope the best for me, because I'm scared of being famous. It's one of my greatest fears. And I really don't want to be famous. I know how it ends up going. People take a lot of time of doing it and not get there. But what if I blow up really quickly? What if I don't blow up at all and just stay like very minuscule with like 300 followers? Or maybe even less than that. That sounds very good. Fuck. Either way, I need to talk about this stuff for it is important. Ye fucking hon, cowboys.